Hey there, I'm Brian Conway. Welcome to architectfunnels.com. Now, if you are an architect, which I assume you are if you're watching this video, but more importantly, if you are a sole practitioner or you run your own business, maybe you've got 2 or 3 people working for you, but you experience that classic feast and famine challenge that many small business owners, not just architects, actually experience, where 1 month you're busy, you've got a great project, you're cutting invoices, the revenue's coming in, and then next month you've got nothing and you're wondering where your next project going to come from. Then if you find yourself in that situation, then this video is definitely for you, because that is a common situation. I find it all the time with a lot of the clients that I work with. And it typically is because of the type of marketing and lead generation that they do or don't do, is maybe more to the point. Because that is the challenge. How do you create an efficient and effective way of creating predictable, consistent and constant volume of leads every week, day, month, or whenever you need them? Because a lot of architects rely on things like referrals, going to networking events, that sort of stuff. Maybe somebody finding their website on Google and filling in an inquiry form or calling them. But all of that stuff is outside of your control. And it's usually the catalyst behind that whole feast and famine cycle. You pick up a job at a networking event or referral, perhaps, and you do that, but the next referral hasn't come in. You don't know when that might be or if it'll ever happen. So what you need is something much more predictable. And that's what I developed for architects, a system. I call it the Trinity Revenue System because there's 3 parts to it, which I'll talk about in a moment. But you want a system that allows you to predictably generate leads and inquiries, give you the opportunity to have sales calls and conversations with those individuals and close that business into project and do it in a systematic way. And that allows you then not only the peace of mind and gets rid of the stress of wondering where the next job's going to come from, or if you've got people working for you, how are you going to pay their wage, etc. It takes you from that kind of situation to a point where you could actually predictably scale your business. If you know what the return is on your advertising spend, so you spend X and you get 3X back, then you can predictably work out how much you need to invest to generate an amount of business. And that allows you to, as I said, scale with confidence. What it also does, and it may be something you might consider further down the road, is makes your business sellable, if that was ever something you wanted to consider. Because the first thing an investor would look at is how do you generate new business? And if you say, oh, I go to networking events, well, that's not predictable. They can't buy business, which is what they're fundamentally doing, and revenue if it's unstable in that sense. So just something else to consider. But it's the challenge that a lot of smaller architectural practices face. And what we need to fix, and what the Trinity system does, is it puts first in place a lead generation system, a way of predictably generating, as I said, a consistent and constant flow of leads, and not just quantity, but quality as well. We can really filter so you get the exact type of job that you'd like to work on, the type of customer that you enjoy working with, again, which just makes your life easier and the pleasure of running your own business much better. The second thing we'll look at then is how do we convert those leads into paying clients? What is the best conversion mechanisms? And the third element, which is overlooked a lot by business in general, but again, a lot of the architects that I've worked with, is what about those that don't buy? How do you nurture those? How do you follow up efficiently and effectively and do that in an automated way that you can turn more of those individuals into paying clients when the time is right for them? So it's really about how can you extract as much revenue out of every lead that you generate and every penny that you invest in marketing and advertising. So they're the kind of the 3 elements. Now, to introduce myself more fully, as I said, my name's Brian Conway, but I've worked in sales and marketing for 30 plus years. I've run my own business for over 20 years. I've worked with hundreds of small to medium-sized businesses. I've worked with dozens of architectural practices, and I've worked with some big brand companies as well. I used to be flown all over the world to work with companies like Google and Microsoft, etc. But a few years ago, about 6-7 years ago, I got involved with a friend of mine, a neighbor actually, who was an architect, and his business was really struggling. And I helped him put together some systems to start generating more leads, that start generating more revenue, and we got his business back on its feet. I then went on to become a commercial director of an architectural practice in Leeds. And there again, I implemented and fine-tuned my systems and everything for revenue generation, and helped them grow as well. And since then, I've been working with architectural practices, small individual independent practice owners, helping them do just that. Really just, as I said, create predictable revenue for their company. And that has led me to really see and understand these challenges and what an architect faces and why because it's quite frustrating in a way. I think you've done 7 years of study. You're a real expert in the field of design, etc. Very talented. But the one thing they don't show you at architectural school is how to find new clients. It just seems to be the missing piece. So with what I've done over the last 6-7 years, as I said, is systemize that in a way that I can help practice owners implement that quickly and efficiently. It really starts generating leads, typically in hours, sometimes in days, and new business, sometimes in days and weeks, and very, very quickly kind of pays for itself. So that's just a little bit about my background, just so you understand where I'm kind of coming from. But if you find yourself in that situation, or maybe the business is fairly stable, but you want to scale it and you want to do that in a more systemized way, because systems are key to growing and scaling a business, then I can help you do that as well. So it's not always about struggling, sometimes just about growth as well. So whatever situation you find yourself in, I can help you do that. No.
Hey there, just want to interrupt the video for a moment, because a lot of people have been asking me, when you say a client acquisition system or a sales funnel or a lead funnel, an architect funnel, what do you mean exactly? What are we talking about? So I thought I'd just take a few minutes and inject this element of video into the overall video, just to answer that question, explain exactly what we mean, and give you a demonstration really of what a good funnel looks like and how it can create that predictability in your ability to find new clients and new projects for your practice. Okay, so in this instance, we're going to assume we're selling loft conversion services. So as an architect, I want more customers who want loft conversions. So I'm going to create a Facebook campaign. In this instance, this is our traffic source. So we're going to run some ads for people who are interested in converting their loft and extending their loft and making it into a habitable dwelling. And I'm going to give away a free book, a free guide, a free white paper, whatever you want to call it, but what we call a lead magnet. So this is something that's going to attract people into our sales funnel. So we're going to assume that we're trying to get 300 visitors to that web page in a single month. And we're going to assume initially that it's going to cost us £2 per click. So we start with a bit of a hypothesis, and then we fine-tune this once we start to get some data, because what we might find is that actually it's only costing us £1 per click, and therefore for the same budget we could be getting 600 visitors, or for the same amount of visitors we could be paying half as much, if you see what I mean. It's the same kind of outcome, but we start off with an assumption, but based on best practice and experience. So 300 clicks, £2 a click, £600. So we're going to run a Facebook campaign that costs us £600 for the month. Driving them to this landing page, that's where they land. And it's called an opt-in page because, as I said, we want them to opt in. We want them to give us their email details. I'm sure you've all done this in the past. You've probably done it to get to where you are now listening to me. And in exchange, you're going to give away that ebook and they're going to give you their email details. Now, only a percentage, 20% is a good average number of people that opt in. And that's one of the things we'll sort of aim for. And then we'll try and improve that. But we'll look to get at least 20% of people, which means out of the 300 visitors, 60 people would become a lead in effect. Or you'd have an email address on your mailing list. When they opt in, the next page, we call it the thank you page, because fundamentally it's to say, oh, thank you for requesting the information that you've asked for. Now you may have a button on here that says, you click below and you can download it. You may have a direction that says, I've just sent it to your inbox. So check, your spam if you don't see it initially, but it's on its way. So you send out a follow-up email that delivers the ebook. Whatever, the different ways you can do this. What you might also do on this page is maybe have a video or something and say, hey, but while you're here, if you're obviously interested in loft conversions, I'm running a free web class this coming Thursday if you'd like to join me. Or you may say, I offer a free consultation. If you'd like to get on a call with me for 30 minutes, I can talk you through all the pros and cons and pitfalls and everything to watch out for. I can walk you through the guide and talk about your situation and what you're trying to achieve. So you can really sort of add more value there, perhaps, with the hope that maybe somebody will then go to a calendar and pick a slot. So this is what I do. Below this video, as you'll find out in a moment, you will see a button where you can book a totally free consultation with myself, and I'll help you and give you some advice on how to improve your marketing. So a percentage, again, will do that. Some won't, and I've assumed that in this instance, 70% of people won't even bother for now. But 30% will. So 30% come over here and book an appointment with you. But what we've said is that only 70% actually turn up. So 30% of people don't even turn up. It happens. It's just part of the process, part of the funnel, right? But eventually they'll get on the call with you, and some of those individuals then will buy from you, perhaps, at that time. So I've just said, for the sake of this hypothesis, 50-50. So what we can do is actually, as I said, deliver an email when they opt in. If they don't go to your calendar, we can send follow-up emails to say, oh, this is the nurture part now of the system. You can, you didn't book your free consultation. Please do so. Click here, and we can drive traffic into that calendar that way. We can also put emails after the calendar. So if people do book in, we can send them emails to say, yeah, congratulations for booking in. This is what's going to happen, and send them reminders. And then now before the call or whatever, just that all helps increase that conversion to actual having the phone call with you. And those that don't, we can send them emails, say, look, assume something happened, something came up. Not a problem if you would like to rebook, and then put them back into the calendar, or just reach out to me, give me a call, here's my mobile, whatever you want to do. So we're nurturing. So remember, in the Trinity selling system, there's three components. There's generating leads, which is this bit over here, and then there's generating sales, which is this bit over here, and then we have the nurture components as well. And if only 50% of the people actually buy, we can also then create an email sequence over this side as well that says, thanks for the time on the call today. Here's some additional information, and then follow up with them, deliver additional value, but keep top of mind to the point when they are ready to buy. So that is what a sales funnel looks like, with the three components that we build out as part of the Trinity system. And as part of the sales element, we'll look at what you say on the phone and how you construct that presentation and everything to help you maximize your ability to close people. Now, in this instance, I've assumed that the sale value, because it's quite a typical order value that a lot of architects I work with, is around £2,000 to produce those drawings, etc., and everything you do for the client. So what we can do is actually run a simulation. So if I simulate this funnel working, what you can see here is a traffic source we said was Facebook, and it generated 300 visitors. Out of those 300 visitors, if we come back over here to the funnel, remember we said 300 people visit the page, 20% opt in, that's only 60. 60% of those people, out of those 60 people, only 30% actually book an appointment, so that's 18. From the actual calls that you have, only 70% turn up, so that's actually only 12 of the 18. So you actually, out of those 300 visitors, you end up with 12 conversations. And you close 6 of them, 6 out of the 12, we've said 50%. It might be less than that, maybe more, I don't know. This is, again, what we track and then fine-tune this. And so that would create £12,000 worth of sales. So for a £600 investment, so we've got all the costs here. So for a £600 investment, we've included some merchant fees in case you take payments via credit cards. There's some hosting of the funnel, $197. That's the kind of current price, but I do offers on that all the time. So yeah, sometimes it's better than that. But what we're basically saying is we spent £600, we made £12,000, so we've got 20 times or nearly 2,000% return on investment, and we've made nearly £11,000 in profit. And when you dial this in and you know that for every £600 you spend, you make £12,000 in revenue, in actual sales, then you can scale that with comfort. You can turn up your advertising if you want more leads and more conversations. You can turn down the wick, so to speak, if it creates too much business. And there's other sales friction we can put in here as well as that I haven't really spoken about, that can just really help you qualify the better opportunities. And that's something we do as we go forward as well. So that's what a sales funnel fundamentally looks like. I hope you found that useful. As I said, a number of people have been asking. Now, what I do on my free consultancy calls, which you're about to hear about in the rest of the video now, is I can do this with you if you want. We can take one of your propositions and actually kind of work out what kind of revenue you're looking to generate, what it might cost to do that, and what the sales funnel will look like. And you can go away and implement that. You don't have to use me to do it. I help my clients do it sometimes, but you could take away that strategy and implement it. And that's how you can get away from that feast and famine and that kind of dependency on just ad hoc business requirements or business requests coming into your architectural practice. So I hope you found that useful. And let's now go back to the main video.
I can help you in two ways. One, you can engage me to come and work with you, but I do also offer a totally free consultancy call. We just get on Zoom for about 45 minutes and I will just help you identify where are the bottlenecks in your business. What are the challenges that I think you're facing when it comes to marketing and lead generation and revenue creation, obviously. And we'll talk through that. My goal is to give you a crystal clear kind of path on some clear actions that you can take away and implement. Now, that, as I said, it's totally free of charge. There's no obligation and there's certainly no sales pressure or anything from me. It is with me. What then often happens is either you ask me to work with you, and no obligation to do that, but it sometimes happens, or I just get a referral or a reference from you sometime down the road, and that's of value to me as well. Because some people sort of say, well, why would you do a free consultation? As I said, because people either become clients or they find me clients. So there's no obligation to do any of that. You don't have to give me a reference. It's not mandatory, or me helping you is not dependent on you agreeing to do that. That's just typically what happens. Why wouldn't you? You go away, you implement, your business is great and starts growing, and somebody else as an architect who's struggling and says, what did you do to turn your business around? Then it's a very natural thing to just say, well, I spoke to Brian Coleman, he gave me some tips, I've implemented them and they've worked. And then just get a referral. But you get the idea. The referrals do work. I don't want to put you off the idea that referrals are bad. They're just not predictable. They're unstable. I always think of them as the gravy or the icing on the cake, whatever metaphor you want to use. But when you've got a system that generates business and then you get referrals on top of that, and a good system that generates more happy clients, which typically generates more referrals anyway, the whole ecosystem then becomes self-fulfilling. So I hope you found that useful. But if you'd like to have a chat, you'll see below this video, there's a button somewhere that'll take you through to my calendar. You can pick a time that suits you, and we'll just get on a call. We'll have a chat, give you some tips and advice, and we can leave it there. Or if you want some further help, we can have a conversation about that as well. But I promise you, it's not salesy. There's no high pressure. It's with me. There's no kind of salesperson that's going to try and close you or anything. I just want to reassure you that that's not my motivation. My motivation is to help you improve the quality of your lead generation, your sales performance, and therefore your revenue and profitability of your practice. And if we can help you do that, then I'm happy, and you certainly will be as well. So hopefully I will see you on those calls. So button directly below this video, click it, book a time, and I'll see you then. I'm Brian Conway. Take care. Thanks for your time.